Shake it off, guys.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Someone Else's Story. Now today we have something a little bit special as I will be interviewing my parents, Debbie and Adrian Haughton, about something that will be revealed shortly. So here we are with my mum and dad. This is Debbie and Adrian Haughton. Woo, party! Studio audience goes crazy. How are we doing? They're really nervous.
Doing okay.
It's really funny.
Yeah, we're not used to this.
It's alright, it's
Yeah.
okay. Like Dad said, they're behind the scenes. They don't crave the limelight like their younger son does. So, welcome to how I view things in the world. So the way this is going to work is we have got questions in this bowl that are either questions I get asked quite regularly, you may get asked them quite regularly as well, or surrounding me coming out. Now, on the next episode, spoiler, Mum and Dad will be asking equivalent questions back to me because that is the only way I could get them to agree to do this. We're just gonna go straight in with it. Bam, 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 bam. Ooh, straight on it. Okay, parents, when did you know I am gay? Was gay? Don't know the tenses of that. Was there a moment where you were like, oh, there it is?
I think there was a moment when you confirmed it. You wanted to come and speak to us about how you were feeling emotionally.
Lovely. Well put, Adrian.
Having said that, prior to that, obviously, Mum and I, we'd had indications, I guess. I think that was the point when it became more definite. When you took us aside and said you were having concerns about your sexuality.
When you talk about signs or things that you'd picked up on, is there anything that springs to mind? Anything in particular?
Well, it's a gradual thing, really. I guess over the years. Yeah, it's
I think as we got to know you as a person, obviously you preferred the more feminine type toys.
Yeah.
So you enjoyed playing with dolls and dressing up.
Yeah.
I think you had a particular penchant for a yellow dress.
Yeah, I did.
Remember?
His mum's petticoat from a wedding. I rocked it. Who wore it better? Not me.
And you were less inclined to want to play football or be engaged in kind of fighting type games,
Yeah.
anything like that. And you were quite gentle and quite sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like the sparkly things as well.
Yeah. That hasn't changed. Still do.
No, exactly. And you also liked the more sparkly ornaments. You'd like to go into shops where they had Capo di Monte and Swarovski. Do you remember Nanny's Swarovski?
Yeah, no, my nan had a huge Swarovski cabinet that she used to stand in front of and stare at for ages. I think it's important to say here for anyone else watching that these signs don't necessarily mean
Absolutely.
you gave me those were some of the signposts along the way that pointed you to the truth in this situation. So
But I think there wasn't one moment of enlightenment.
Yeah.
I think it was a gradual understanding of who you were
pieces
as
of the
a person.
jigsaw were falling into place, and What advice do you have for other parents in your situation? Say in your situation, parents whose children come out, or they may suspect that their children are gay or identify as LGBTQ+.
I would say the most important thing is your child who you love unconditionally.
Absolutely.
Whatever.
Do we get tissues?
I'm okay. Whatever they decide they are, they want, who their personality is, whatever, your love for your child is the thing that has to come first. And once you get that in the right place, then I think acceptance and understanding and tolerance will fall into place behind it.
Can't beat that, can you, really?
Deb's got it down.
Yeah.
Mic drop moment from the Debmeister.
Yeah.
How did I come out? Now, obviously this question will come up for me in the next episode. What did it look like from your angle?
So it was one Sunday afternoon, and you had a friend, Nicola, who you was here's your support, and you came and spoke to Mum and I, wanted to speak to us about how you feel about your sexuality, and that was it. That's all you said, and so we were left hanging.
We weren't quite sure what it was.
Yeah, I was trying.
We knew you were trying. We knew you wanted to tell us something, but we weren't totally clear what it was that you thought you told us. But we didn't want.
We didn't want to question you about it and give you the third degree. So yes, that was the first. Well, not the first. That was an indicator, wasn't it?
And another piece.
Yeah, to the jigsaw.
The
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm going to. Do you remember? I feel like there was a potentially more affirming moment a couple of years later. Do you remember this?
I do. I think it was when I can't think how it came about, but I can remember saying to you something like, "So."
Sorry, I remember it so vividly. That's
Do
why.
you? So when you spoke to Mum and I with Nicola, does that mean do you think you were saying to us you were coming out then? And you said, "Oh yes."
Oh,
Miscommunication. It was right. It was
that's
right.
what you were saying.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that I remember what it was that started that question was it was my A-levels leavers. For a bit of context, my school was very supportive. Everyone in my year, I was really lucky. They were very supportive of me coming out and kind of just figuring out who I was, and like I couldn't have asked for a better situation. So everyone who was a part of that, thank you very much. But on my leavers shirt, people have written things like "You're my favourite gay." I was the only gay in my year, and I think you saw that and were like, just confirming. Is that?
Well, have been. I can't
That's how I remember
that. And the rest is history.
The rest is history. What was I like as a child?
I would say you were a very resilient child. I don't think you had the easiest of times growing up. I think some of the things you wanted to do, like dancing and things like that, you found quite difficult because of your peer group.
Primary school, not secondary. Secondary all good. Primary, we'll talk.
I suspect you were bullied to a certain extent, but I think you were a very resilient and quite a tough youngster.
Tough nutter, just like my mum.
Willful.
Which I think probably got you through a lot of difficult times.
You knew your own mind.
Yeah.
Still do.
Still do, absolutely. You had a focus, and you would be determined and go for it. Really, I can't think of many other descriptive words to use.
Nothing keeping Sammy down.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you feel? I think we've kind of touched on it already. How did you feel immediately after I came out? Let's take that both part 1 and 2. So part 1 we kind of touched on. There was a bit of confusion about what I'd actually tried to say.
Yeah.
Skip it on to part 2.
Part 2, I think it was more or less. I think we knew it was just wasn't actually out in the open at that stage. I can't think how old you were then.
I feel like part 1 was about like 16 and part 2 was about 18. Might have been 16 actually, because even though I didn't leave at GCSEs, there was, I remember the lunch break and I was like, let's just sign each other's shirts anyway. And so we did, because we're cool. So it was potentially 16.
So I think it was almost like, I suppose there was this sense that you thought we knew, and we had a rough idea.
Maybe we did know. But
Yeah, we weren't sure, and we didn't want to push you on it because were you still deciding?
Yeah.
Was that still an issue for you? And we didn't want to force anything because we wanted it to be you. I think it was affirmation, really.
And I think we've always wanted to be supportive of you. So whatever it was you were telling us, or whatever stage we felt you thought you'd got to and were telling us about, was okay. And we kind of got through it. You and us got through it together, I think.
And what are your hopes for the future?
Oh my word!
For you?
For me, for us, for
Okay.
Happiness and contentment, really.
all round. Yeah.
An affirmation. I think that you feel that we affirm you in your role in the theatre, in your role if you're not in the theatre, just in whatever you choose to do, that you feel you have our support and that we affirm you.
So what are your fears or things you worry about?
The fears are probably less now than they were for you as a youngster, because of it's a more liberal attitude, I think, these days. I think our fears were for your safety. We still hear about the gay bashing, don't we? You know, just in the last year, there were reports of guys being beaten up outside of gay clubs. And it's that sort of thing that we're obviously concerned of for you. But for us, I think for Mum and I, we've had to get to the stage where we can let go of that. And obviously we've got our faith, so we trust you to God. And it's that letting go, really, which has, I think, been the significant thing throughout our whole journey, because you know, we believe that you're in safe hands.
Yeah. It's always something that is in the back of my mind for your safety, really, as you're travelling about, and you do cover quite a wide area of London.
And get around.
Just that you'll be safe, I think.
How is our relationship post coming out?
I can look back and I can see how my character has developed. I think I would have been quite blinkered and quite straight-laced, really. I think what you've done is you've opened up a whole new world in just so many areas, like, you know, Irish dancing. That was a revelation.
Still on my CV.
And what with the acting and the singing, the places we've been, the people we've met. It's really opened our world up, I think. Otherwise, it would have been fairly conservative, I think.
I think we both grew up in worlds that were very black and white.
Yeah.
Very right and wrong.
Yeah.
Because of our upbringing.
Yeah.
And I think you...
And probably the time as well. The time in which you grew up. Yeah.
And I think you opened up the idea that not everything is black and white, and there are shades of grey.
Yeah.
And things overlap.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And it doesn't matter, and everything doesn't have to be clear cut. And there can be areas where maybe you have to talk about things, you have to reach a compromise, you have to meet each other halfway.
Yeah.
I think that, for me, that's
good. That's a good analogy, I think, because that shade of grey has got bigger. I think the black and the white get pushed out.
Yeah.
Because there is so much grey.
I like the idea that maybe, and I think this is true for everyone, like how you're brought up and your experiences inform who you become.
Yeah.
And just another experience that's come along and informed. So very informing. So when you talk about how you were raised to think of things being black and white, kind of how would you describe that, particularly in terms of homosexuality?
I guess it was illegal up until the 1960s, was it? I think.
Yeah, it still is illegal in some countries.
Yeah. It was soon after that, when it became legal. That was, I can remember, that was quite a talking point, and there was a lot of anti-feeling, I think, because I guess it was ignorance, and it was a lack of appreciating exactly what the gay community are, who they are. And I think when you're ignorant of something, when you don't know about it, then you become scared of it. And it's only as you find out more information, when you learn more about it.
I think with our grandparents' generation, there were certain subjects they didn't want to talk about.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't talk about them because there was this kind of thing, if you don't verbalise it, it's not there.
Yeah.
It's not real. And you can forget about it and pretend it's not happening. And I think that probably changed with our parents' generation, and then again with our generation, and ongoing with your generation. Each generation it changes and things become more talked about, I think. And
that's
they're scary.
That's so important as well.
Yeah.
That there's talk. I think when people don't talk, when they just resort to violence, as we see on occasions, then that's not the answer.
Yes, Adrian. Boom. Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you, Mummy and Daddy, for letting me ask you some questions. And join us next time for when the tables are going to be turned.
Ah.